Okay, so right now we're about 2 miles as a crow flies from Allen Flashing Shop. Am I close on that?
Three quarters of a mile.
3/4 of a mile. Well, some crows don't fly quite so straight, okay? And there's a lot of up and down in that, Steve, okay?
A whole lot.
Steve Vincent's shop. We're up in the Elkhead territory, up out of Driver Valley. It's awesome country. We may do a panorama of his view up here. But anyhow, he's built a smithy. He's got a lot of cool things in here. He brings Boy Scouts up and teaches them the lessons that can only be learned in forging iron.
Whatever's here is very humble.
Oh, this is great.
Very, very simple, but that's where I'm at. Come on, let's go inside. 1908, just like Allen's Anvil. This is number 32. 100-pound Little Giant hammers.
Number 32 in their lineup.
Number 32.
Wow.
They didn't make a lot of 100-pounders. They made a lot of 50s. That was their main line. Then they branched off into a 25-pound. And they made some of these, and then from there they went to a 250-pound and a 500-pound. But those were mostly up in Cincinnati and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, where the big foundries were.
No kidding.
But most of these smaller hammers were used for ranches. This one spent its time right from where it came in Minnesota on a large farm in Missouri. And it got, apparently the roof caved in and knocked this hammer over, and it was in water about up to here diagonally.
Oh.
And it busted the 3/4 inch bolts. There's 6 bolts that hold this down. It busted the bolts off, sheared them completely. I don't know how many years it spent in that condition. We had to drill out these bolts as we restored this. Had a dickens of a time getting the dies out, but it functions. For me, it's pretty intimidating.
Wow. Beautiful. Mechanical hammers are awesome.
Well, yeah, I kind of like mechanical hammers, but
Yeah.
I'd like to do some die work on this one.
Yeah. I've got some videos I'm going to loan you that I got from, I'll think of the guy's name, back east.
A friend of mine named Scott Wadsworth gave me this stock mat.
Yeah, perfect.
That's part of which is underneath the entire unit. And Nathan, if you could hit that switch right there.
Ready to rock, are we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Look at that. That's a power hammer indeed. Look at that.
It hasn't quite got the single hit
Sure.
sensitivity that an air hammer has.
That's all right.
Nice to be able to just turn it off and on with a switch like that.
Just like
Amen.
that.
It doesn't have to
Just
build
like
pressure.
That is really neat.
And it doesn't have to hiss and snort in the background.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't seem to be as much oil flying everywhere, but that's just because you keep it clean.
Yeah, he keeps it clean, and it's not doesn't have air pushing oil.
Right,
in it.
yeah.
Oh, and Cy scolded me something fierce for putting paint on it.
Of course.
It ought to either be rust or grease, one of the two.
All right, show us what you got here.
It's a 200-pound Fisher anvil.
Fisher Norris.
And the casting on the back says 1941.
Okay.
And a little short story about where I got it. Just an ad off of Craigslist. And I went and responded to the ad someplace out in the weeds east of Roseburg. And there was a fellow there living in a trailer, and he happened to have this anvil, and it was pretty rough. And a lot of the edges were pretty coarse. I paid him, I think it was $1.50 a pound for it.
Nice.
I took it to Kilkenny Machine out on Diamond Lake Boulevard, and I asked them if they could resurface it because it's got a hardened steel plate, tool steel plate. And they said, sure, we could do that, $75. I came back about a week and a half later, and the guy says, I never should have bid that much. He said, I burned up 4 brooches, and he said, by the time we were done with it, the steel here is so hard. He says, everybody was cussing. And it had a couple of burns from the brooches where they would take a new pass and burn a broach out.
My.
But anyway.
A broach. What machine were they using?
I don't know. I think a mill.
Mill.
I'm not sure. Anyway, that was the story he told me. I was glad to get it back, but you know, the edges now are crisp, and you can see places where it's been welded.
Sure.
A little bit on the tip, but it wasn't a real fancy casting. I had it sandblasted in the beginning. Probably never should have done that because it was pretty pockmarked in the center. And
Sure, and from the factory they had filled it a little bit, probably.
Yes, and so I just filled it back.
Now I see a couple other specimens here in your shop.
Okay. Let's do this one over here, kind of as a next shot, because that's a brand. It's a Farrier's anvil from Texas, JHM. It's a Journeyman 2. It has the lug on the side. I'm not sure
Clip horn. It's called a clip horn.
And anyway, a good serviceable 120-pound anvil. Original owner was Stan Zorn up in Roseburg. He's the brother of a friend of mine, and he was into blacksmithing for a while. And I paid him $300 for it.
Nice price.
Good anvil. It's worked well. Nothing fancy about it, but again, serviceable and very functional. Sure. But it is new. I mean,
nice,
he was the only person to use it, and he didn't use it much.
Yeah, pristine, almost the edges and the horn.
Okay, the next one. This is a 70-pound anvil. I don't know of any name on it or anything. This is something I've been dragged around in my family for probably 45 years. It's just again another serviceable anvil. And I see here it's got a welded plate on it. You see any writing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have some serial numbers down here.
Oh. Good eyes.
A little bit of that's worth comparing that in Postman's book to Trenton's.
177 something 00.
Yeah, that it's possible that says 71. If this is about a 70-pound anvil, that's probably the weight. It's possible this is a Trenton, made in Columbia Forge.
And see it's been abused a bit. See the chips out of the plate.
Has. Sometimes for grins, when you take it off, if it has an oval impression in the bottom of that, it's a Trenton.
Okay, that would be good to know.
That's one indicator. Oh, I see.
Well, that's the adjustable block system.
Sure.
When I have Boy Scouts out here, depending on the size of them, they range pretty dramatically.
Yeah,
but
cool, sweet little anvil. You know, anvils that size actually are fairly desirable.
Yeah, my understanding is the farriers don't care for an anvil over about 90 pounds.
They got to be able to move it.
Load it and unload it. No, load it and unload it. Now this one is kind of a surprise. This is something that came out of my brother's estate. My brother passed away over in Christmas Valley. And something I purchased from the estate because they didn't know what to do with it. But this is a Peter Wright, 156-pound anvil.
Nice.
It's never been restored. Nothing's ever been done to it. And I haven't done anything with it, and it's been in my possession for about a year.
Nice.
But it was parked about half under the sand when I first saw it, and so we gathered that up along with a lot of other stuff.
Are you going to do something with it?
Of course,
yes, but I don't know what. I don't think I'll restore it. For a while I thought I would, but now I'm not sure.
Why not? Is it the sentimental attachment of the way your brother kept it?
No, not really. And you can see the Peter Wright
Sure.
right there.
So,
Peter Wright, that's a good brand.
in my opinion, size accepted, this is maybe the nicest anvil in here.
Really?
Well,
in terms
as
of-
far manufacturer history,
Yes.
quality,
Yeah,
brand.
Yeah, brand. As far as brand name, brand recognition, this may be the nicest anvil you've got.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not that Fisher Norris is not a good anvil. You know,
Right. But Fisher was more of a.
Yeah, but this profanity right here just has to be dealt with, you know?
Yeah.
And once you start that, then you've got to go all the way.
And that's my feeling, you know. If I was going to touch it, I would probably put, I don't know, several $100s in it to try to get it to look as nice as the Fisher does.
You don't need to put that in it.
Yeah.
Just grind that off of there, preheat it, get the right rod, build that up a little bit.
Yep. Take
Grind
it
it
down.
close, get it close, take it over to size new mill.
Yeah.
Have you seen that new mill?
Oh, I helped him haul it in there.
Did you? Okay.
I haven't seen it since he's.
I asked him why his excavator was parked in the driveway. I was over there yesterday working.
That's what he said, and he appreciated it. That's Steve's a dynamo.
I'm gonna go.